Welcome. My name is Abby Marsh, and I'm the Executive Director of the Life Crisis Center. We'd like to introduce you to our Why campaign. This campaign is a campaign to focus on domestic violence and shifting the focus from the victim to the abuser. Frequently, we see in language a tendency to focus on the victim and ask, why does she stay? Instead of focusing on the abuser and asking, why does he abuse? This series of videos by our Life Crisis Center staff will attempt to address some of the many reasons why a victim may stay. Domestic violence is a pattern of coercive, controlling behavior that can include physical assault, psychological or emotional abuse, sexual abuse, or financial abuse. There are many reasons why a victim may not leave. This is why we challenge you to shift the focus, have a better understanding of why a victim may stay, and stop asking that question and ask, why does the abuser abuse?
Why do abusers abuse? It's not a question we ask very often. What we usually ask is the victim. Why do you stay? Why don't you just leave? And that puts the responsibility on the victim to not be abused. And yet the abuse is never a victim's fault. When a victim takes it on that it's theirs, we don't do that for other crimes. You know, if I'm assaulted, that's a crime against me. But if I'm assaulted in domestic violence, I feel like it might be my fault, or I'm blamed that it's my fault. It's not my fault. Domestic violence is a crime, and a crime is never a victim's fault. So we should be asking the abuser, why do you abuse? We also have issues with safety. When someone needs to be safe, we don't ask them, why do you have to be safe all the time? And yet we tell victims, well, just do this or just do that to stay safe. That again, that re-victimizes the victim. Whose responsibility is it? When they try to leave, a victim tries to leave. Oh my gosh, the abuse can get worse. And so they instinctively stay. And then we ask them, why do you stay? Well, if they don't stay, they're going to get it worse. They may even have a point where they could possibly be killed. And so they're doing everything they can to stay safe. And yet we still ask them the questions. Also, stalking. You know, if I'm being stalked, I can call the police and maybe they'll take a report, maybe follow up. But if a victim is stalked by their abuser, they're frequently told, well, they're allowed to be on the street or they're allowed to go to that store. That's victimizing the victim. We need to stop that. We need to ask the abuser, why are you doing what you do to abuse the victim? Or a victim might stay for economics. And then they're asked, well, why didn't you put money away? Or why didn't you be a part of the bills or to make those decisions? You were right there. But they're not allowed, little by little. It's like it's chipped away. They're not allowed to make decisions. And yet we've made it their responsibility. Again, that's victimizing the victim. They might stay also because of custody. They're afraid. They're afraid they're going to lose their children. You know, if I'm assaulted again, my kids aren't going to be taken from me. But if I'm assaulted in domestic violence, the threat is there. Either that somebody in authority might come and take them, or the abuser says, you're a bad mom, you can't have the kids. Again, they're afraid, so they stay. Also, there can be cultural, religious things that are told to them. The belief systems that I need to stay. I made these marriage, especially if there's a marriage, I made the marriage covenant in my vows. Who broke it if they need to leave the relationship? Who actually broke the covenant? Abuse is not part of the covenant. The victim is being re-victimized again. We need to stop that and give the questions to the abusers. Why do you abuse? They may also have fear of failure of a relationship. Oh my gosh, I can't keep this relationship together. I must be a bad person. And who broke it? Who made the relationship bad? The victim's probably trying everything in their power to keep it together. And yet we're saying, well, you're the one that's not good enough. Why didn't you do something, or what did you do to cause it? That's victimizing the victim. Again, we need to stop that. We need to start asking, why does the abuser abuse?
Thank you for taking the time to educate yourself about domestic violence through Life Crisis Center's series of videos in the Why campaign. We hope that you will take this information back into the community and you will help shift the focus back to where it belongs, on the abuser. If you're a victim of domestic violence, or even if you have questions about whether you're a victim of domestic violence, you can contact Life Crisis Center at 410-749-HELP. That's 410-749-4357.